So have you ever seen a political ad, maybe some propaganda, or even just a really sensational news story and thought, yeah, I'm not falling for that, but I bet a ton of other people will? Well, if you have, you've actually stumbled upon this really powerful psychological phenomenon. It's called the third-person effect, and we're going to dig into what's going on there.
Our story starts in a pretty unexpected place. We're not in a psychology lab. We're on the battlefield of Iwo Jima, right in the middle of the final, brutal stretch of World War II. And it all begins with this really strange puzzle that had one young historian totally stumped.
And at the heart of this puzzle was a question that seems simple, but is actually pretty deep. When you make a piece of propaganda, are you always trying to influence the person who's reading it? Or could there be another target altogether?
Okay, so picture this. It's 1945. Japanese planes are flying over a very specific American unit, a unit made up of black soldiers, but commanded by white officers. And these planes aren't dropping bombs, they're dropping paper. Thousands of leaflets, each with a very particular message.
The message on these leaflets was just laser-focused. It was trying to exploit the racial tensions in the segregated U.S. military. It basically said, this was a white man's war. Don't risk your life for the white man. Give yourself up at the first opportunity, or just desert. The goal seems pretty obvious, right? Get these soldiers to quit the fight.
But this is where it gets weird. The propaganda totally failed. There's zero record of it causing any desertions or even a drop in morale among the black soldiers. And yet, it had a massive impact. Because the very next day, the unit's white commanders pulled the entire unit off the line. The propaganda worked, just not on the people it was actually aimed at.
So this bizarre incident just stuck in the mind of a young sociologist named Phillips Davison. He had this incredible insight. The white officers didn't pull the unit because they were persuaded. They pulled the unit because they were afraid the black troops would be. And this little observation sparked a huge idea about how we all think about media.
This right here, this is a thought process we have all had. On the one hand, we see ourselves as pretty savvy, right? I'm not easily influenced. I can see through the spin. But then, when we think about other people, our perception totally shifts. Oh, but they're way more impressionable. They'll probably believe it.
And Davison gave this a name, the third-person effect hypothesis. All it means is that we have this built-in tendency to believe that mass media messages, whether it's an ad, a news story, whatever, are going to have a much bigger effect on other people, the so-called third persons, than on ourselves.
I mean, Davison's own words sum it up perfectly. I will not be influenced, but they may well be persuaded. It's this fundamental split in how we see our own mind versus how we see everyone else's.
Okay, but a cool idea is one thing. You've got to test it, right? You need proof. So Davidson designed a few really clever experiments to see if this mental habit of ours was actually real and measurable. For his first study, he went to a group of students just after a New York governor's election. He asked them to rate, on a scale of 0 to 7, how much a big campaign issue influenced people's votes. But here's the key. He asked two different questions. First, how much did it influence New Yorkers in general? And then, how much did it influence you?
And the results? They were crystal clear. When asked about New Yorkers in general, the students gave an average score of 3.4. But when they were asked about themselves, the score plummeted to just 2.26. They consistently saw other people as being way more influenced by the exact same message.
He ran another experiment, this time hitting on a topic we've all got an opinion on, the effect of TV commercials on kids. He asked a bunch of adults to think back on this.
And wow, the difference here is even bigger. When he asked, did TV ads influence you as a child to ask for things, only 32% said quite a lot. But when the question was, does TV cause other kids to ask for things, that number jumped to a whopping 68%. It more than doubled. The effect is real.
You know, this isn't just some funny little quirk of our egos. This belief, this assumption that everyone else is being influenced, can actually make us change our own behavior, and that can have huge real-world consequences.
So check out how this can lead to something called the spiral of silence. It's like a chain reaction. It starts when you assume a media message is persuading everybody else. Because of that, you start to see even balanced news as being biased against your view. That then leads you to believe your opinion must be in the minority. And what's the last step? You just stop talking about it, because who wants to be the odd one out?
And that spiral can create this truly bizarre social phenomenon called pluralistic ignorance.
This is where a huge number of people, maybe even a majority, all secretly agree on something. But because they all assume the media has convinced everyone else of the opposite, nobody says a word. Everyone feels totally alone in their opinion, even when they're surrounded by people who feel the exact same way.
So once you understand this concept, I promise you, you are going to start seeing the third-person effect absolutely everywhere. It's like this hidden engine driving all sorts of human behaviors.
Let's start with censorship. Think about it. The argument for censorship is almost a perfect example of this effect. A censor never says, "I'm worried this dangerous idea might corrupt me." No. It's always about protecting the impressionable minds of other people.
Or what about hoarding and panic buying? When there's news about a potential shortage of, say, toilet paper, most people don't run to the store because they're terrified by the news itself. They run to the store because they're terrified of what other people are going to do when they hear the news. They're reacting to the expected reaction of everyone else.
We even see it in the stock market. An investor will often sell a stock not because some bad news directly hurts the company's value, but because they're anticipating how millions of other, less informed investors are going to panic when they see that news.
Which, of course, brings us to this one final fascinating question. If every single one of us thinks we're the exception, that we're the smart one who can see through the media's influence, and that it's only affecting them, then who exactly are they? It's a paradox that shows just how much faith we have in ourselves, and maybe how much we underestimate everybody else.